Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you, Frederic. So I have to share my screen. So,
Or you can do with no sharing your screen and speak.
so does everybody see my screen and my slides?
Yeah.
Okay. So I go in this. I remove this. 1 minute. I remove this so that I don't see everybody. Okay. So my speech is about StabFem, which is a MATLAB Octave interface to FreeFem, which we have been developing for 3 years now, mostly in IMFT, but also with other colleagues. So first, just a short presentation of who we are, what we do, and why we went to design this. So. In IMFT, we are studying a lot of problems for which we are using FreeFem. Here, just a summary of an illustration of some ongoing studies. So we work on wake instabilities, such as, so normally there should be a movie, but okay, no problem, the movie won't run. So this, for instance, the classical von Karman instability in the wake of a cylinder, but we also work on mode instability, mode interactions, so something more complex than a single mode with a single frequency. We work with free surface flows, for instance here, a cylinder below a free surface. We also do this with bubbles, with deformable bubbles. We work on with jet instabilities. Here, this is a jet passing through holes, which create some instabilities and also radiate some sounds in the far wake. So this is something that Sierra already showed yesterday. More recently, we've been working on ionic wind propulsion. Here, this is an example where you have two electrodes here, which are very tiny electrodes, 100 microns, and here two larger electrodes. So you put 20 kilovolt electric tension between them, and so you generate a plasma which creates a ionic wind towards the other electrode, and this is this creates a thrust which is used in some devices like drones and so on. So so this is just some illustration, but there are many more studies where, and the common approach for this is we don't do time-stepping DNS in a normal way, but favor some linear and non-linear stability analysis. So we mostly look at eigenvalue problems and also try to reconstruct non-linear cycles using a direct method, as Javier showed yesterday, for instance. And of course, the common tools for everything is FreeFem++. So, okay, next slide. Where is it? Okay, this is a typical process of for doing a parametric study of such problems. So typically, initially we build a mesh, then we will solve a problem. Probably at some time you prefer to adapt the mesh to recompute the problem. So I don't know why my pointer is not available here. Maybe. Okay, no, I cannot point with the mouse, but no problem. So then, of course, you vary the parameters to solve the same problem for related parameters. At some point, you may want to solve another problem, which may take input from the first problem or may give output to it. So then you again vary the parameter. Sometimes you adapt the mesh to the solution of both problems. And at the end, of course, you want to plot the results. So I'm sure that most people, many people here recognize their daily duty here. So and FreeFem is a good tool to do all this task. All these tasks can be done with FreeFem, but the point is that usually you don't do this within a single FreeFem program. Typically, you would rather write short programs to do the elementary tasks and then launch them successively. Then, if you want to optimize this, you will want to write a script to do loops and run these programs. So I'm sure that many people here have worked this way and designed their own script methods to do that. So this is also what we have done for many times. And after doing this 10 times or so, we decided to design a kind of general approach to do this. So the idea is we wanted a generic interface to manage the whole computation chain and post-processing chain. So this is what we want, and this is a cahier des charges of the software. We want an interface using a high-level language, something more high-level than a shell script, for instance, which could be used in command line or script mode, which built-in plotting tool, and something to manage a database. I mean, if you do a parametric study, you generate a lot of data, and you want to be easily be able to reaccess them to for post-processing, for instance. Okay, so another thing we want is to have an open repository available on the web to gather a collection of free-frame codes, and not only a static library, but something which maintains them operational. And we also wanted this to allow to publish the code in a literate way. I mean, a code with comments, details on the theory, as well as the code itself and the results. This is the philosophy of, for instance, the Jupyter notebook, and also the Basilisk project CFD code, which is designed in Paris 6 as well. So we wanted it to be easy to plug in existing free-frame problems, or inversely, since we share a collection of free-frame problems, we want easily people who are interested by the free-frame problem, but not necessarily by the interface, to take them. We want this to be usable for education as well as research, and to be multi-platform, open source, and freeware. So this is the specification. I already presented a preliminary version of this software 2 years ago at Free-frame Days, and now we have a more evolved and quite mature version of the software. So I will present the main commands that we have the main ingredients of this interface. So the basic tool is a generic free-frame wrapper, which we call SF launch, and this is the typical syntax of this. So you will use this by specifying the free-frame program you want to use, the mesh that you want to use, and the options that you want to use. And as you see, I gave the option as a list of descriptor value, and the wrapper will launch them in optional argument mode. In this way, Reynolds, 2 parameters, Reynolds and a number of iterations, for instance, in this example. So there are another few other options that I skip here. So if you want to build a mesh rather than do a CFD, there is another driver which is called SF Mesh, which works about in the same way. So then we have a generic plotter which is called SF Plots, and this one is currently based on a FFPDA plot which was developed by Marcus Meitinger. Actually, in the very beginning of the project, we did not use that. We used another thing coming from the MATLAB toolbox. But 2 years ago, when at Free-frame Days, I met Marcus Meitinger, who was developing the FFPDA plot. And at the end, we rebased everything on his solution. So the advantage is that his solution allows to plot P2 fields without downgrading, and also recognize vectorial FE space. For instance, if you have a data set with a P2, P1 for 2 components of velocity and pressure, you can directly import it and plot it. And there are also a large number of options covering all needs of processing for publications. Then another tool to extract value, but I will demonstrate this after. And the last useful tool that I want to advertise is so-called Mesh Adaptation Wizard. So we do a lot of mesh adaptation in FreeFrame, and it's for me it's one of the main advantage of this software, the ability to do this. So, but in our case, we often want to adapt a mesh to several fields which does not have necessarily the same structure. For instance, I want to adapt to a flow field with 2 components of velocity, which would be P2, P2, P1, another one with 3 components, which would be P2, 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 P1, and again, okay, so we designed a kind of generic wrapper of the adapt mesh command, which works in this way and works with at up to 16 datasets, and okay, and whatever there for recognize something like 20 possible FE spaces. So this again, okay, if you are interested to use this and not necessarily by the interface, you can very easily download the FreeFrame code and try it on your side. Okay, and finally, I will. We have 2 database tools which I will also advertise in the demonstration. The first one to create an index of the database, and the other to directly load one dataset. Okay, so now I switch to. I hope it will work. I want to switch to a tutorial example, which is available on the website of the project. So, okay, so I will solve a number of simple problems just to show how it works. So first, I want to generate a mesh. So as you see, okay, my mesh generator program is lshape.mesh.tdp. It's a very simple one. I will launch it this way. So it returns what we call a handle to the mesh, which is a structure with all needed data, the points, the boundary, and so on. And so all needed for the interface to use this mesh and to plot data associated to this mesh. Okay, so for instance, here we simply plot this mesh with the sfplot tool. Then, okay, then we have a mesh. We want to solve a simple problem. So we take the usual Poisson problem, delta t equal 1 on the domain. Okay, so my program is lshapesteady.edp. If you want to look, it's okay, it's very simple file. So all this I think you recognize. So you only need to include stabted.edp at the beginning and then to generate output files in the right format. I will come back to this after, but okay, this part is so you can easily plug an existing file in it. So okay, so when I use this, the return object is again a handle to this, which contains, for instance, the dataset T. And I can plot it simply in this way, okay? Then, for instance, if I want to extract the data of this on the line, I can use SF extract data in this way, and I will plot this line, which is the value of it along the temperature along this line. Okay. Then, for instance, I show a second problem with unsteady heat convection. So suppose that I'm solving in the same domain a problem which is unsteady. So the temperature at the boundary is oscillating. So I use complex variables to solve it, and I solve a complex problem in this way. Okay, so I won't show so it works in the same way. So here there are 2 arguments, omega and kappa, which are needed to the program. So you see in the program, okay, the arguments are simply detected by getargv, which I'm sure many know and use it. Okay, so and then I generate this. So here the result is a complex field, though I can plot both the real part and the imaginary part with color and levels. Then, okay, I will skip to, you can do adapt mesh, for instance, as I explained. I can adapt my mesh to both the solution of the steady and the unsteady problem in this way, and this is the adapted mesh. Then I would skip this maybe and go directly to, for instance, a more interesting problem. If I want to solve an Navier-Stokes flow inside this this cavity, so here I will use simple Navier-Stokes solver with Newton iteration. So here, okay, I iteratively solve linear rest problem in a usual Newton way to do it. And at the end, you see, I will I need an input parameter, which is the Reynolds, and I generate some output files, and I can plot this. Of course, it's better to readapt the mesh and to recompute because there is a singularity here. So, but okay, so everything can be done very easily, staying in this environment. And then last thing I want to demonstrate is the database management. So in this example, I have done a number of calculations. So. And at the end, if I want to have a summary of all that was done, I simply type this command, sf status, and it tells that, for instance, I've generated 4 meshes, an initial, an adapted, and so on. I've computed 2 Navier-Stokes solutions for Reynolds 10 and 20. I've computed 10 unsteady thermal problems and a number of other things. And I can very simply reload all this data to do some processing. Okay. And you see that all the data are indexed by some which we call metadata. For instance, for the Navier-Stokes solution, I have access to Reynolds and the force exerted on the bottom boundary. All this is customizable. So if you want to customize to so you will have the column that you specify in your case in this summary. Okay, so so this is this example is available on the website of the project, and it's also it's directly it will be in the links will be in the slides that will be available on the FreeFrame website. So then, okay, there are more examples. I won't show all of them. Just a quick word of how does it work? How does the interface recognize the data? So first, there are, since the interface, each FreeFrame problem will typically generate data which can be used either by another FreeFrame problem and have to be written in a FreeFrame native format. So, and we also need some files for the post-processing. So there are 2 options. The first is to generate 2 sets of files, one for FreeFrame and other with graphical format. So this is what we did in the first version of SnapFrame. And then after we evolved to another strategy, which consists of using only FreeFrame native format for both FreeFrame and post-process, since our post-process is able to interpret, for instance, P2, P2, P1, and other more complex formats. But we had an auxiliary file with custom formats, which contains instruction on how to interpret this data, and also some auxiliary data, for instance, for flow field. The main data set will contain the 2 velocity component and the pressure, but I can want to plot the vorticity, so I will put this in this auxiliary file. And I can also put metadata, which will be the one used to generate the index of the database. So just to show you very quickly the adopted solution for this auxiliary file. So we have 4 line headers. The 2 first line are not used. The next one is a series of string valued keywords, so data descriptor value, descriptor value. And the next is a description of the numerical data contained in the SQL of the file. So here it's the data type, data type, data type. So 2 examples, for instance, for the Navier-Stokes flow here, this is what would like the .ff2m file that you will need to write. So the second line specifies, for instance, the data storage mode of the main file. So here, this would be real and P2, P2, P1. And the driver has to interpret the various components as UX, UY, and P. Then I specify here the metadata with stars, Reynolds, and the force, and the auxiliary data, which is the vorticity. Okay, so I would skip the other example, but the file that you produce are not necessarily data on mesh, but they can be simply also a list of simple array of data organized in columns. So for instance, if you do time stepping, you will have a first column, the time step, second column, for instance, the force or other things. So there is another format for the .ff2m format to interpret such data, but I will skip that. Then, okay. A quick word on the web facilities included in the project. So sources are maintained on GitLab. And we also have a dynamically generated website where all users can publish programs. So this is actually this example that I show is part of this website. So the front page of this website is here. So you have okay, this tutorial is tutorial that I showed. You have, for instance, another one, acoustic, linear stability, DNS, and so on. And okay, you have a full summary of all available cases here. So it's automatically generated according to what is pushed on the website. So I can simply, for instance, look at this, which solves Rayleigh-Bénard convection in a horizontal pipe. So how to use this? Actually, it's very simple. You see at the end of the script, there is a tag publish, which is in a command line. And each time you push a script commanding this type on the GitLab repository, it automatically generates a web page and puts it on the website of the project. So okay, so achievements. So we are quite happy that we designed something which does the job of the specification that I showed. We have a manual online if someone is interested. We have currently about 15 users, identified users, so mostly in MFT and close collaborators. Possibly some more because since it's open source, there may be some users that we don't know. And last month, I sent an advertisement on the FreeFM community about this, and I had the good surprise to have a message from 2 people that I don't know who told that they are using it. So it's becoming to be used outside of our direct collaborator, and I'm happy for this. So we've used this for education at Université Paul Sabatier for TP de mécanique fluide et onde. We have published about 10 research papers based on this. So, and the idea of the website is also to be able to share the codes associated to the publication. Currently, there are 6 papers which have published codes, and we have some support from our EMFT as Projet Laboratoire. We have support from the Cosinus Code Development Service. We get funding to buy a website to host to buy a server to host the sales website, and we have expected funding for a forthcoming 6-month training course to work on the interface. Okay, so there are a few limitations. So currently we are limited to 2D meshes. It's not because the 3D meshes is too difficult. It's because we only currently work on 2D problems. So we did not design something for something that we don't currently use. So code quality is not optimal. I have to say that since it's been 3 years that we developed this and we did not do the right choice at the beginning. So some things were done and undone and redone. So some part of the code actually probably would need to be rewritten. So one limitation is that it's not 100% freeware because it's based on MATLAB and Octave. So actually about 95% is compatible with Octave, but a few features only require MATLAB, and the choice of MATLAB Octave has also turned out to be a break for development and diffusions. And actually, many people are saying, so why did you use MATLAB Octave and not Python? And actually, there are many advantages of using Python. I could give to it's a fully open source and multi-platform language. There are tools for code reliability, and also it includes a solution for notebook publishing as Jupyter. and there is an active and growing base of developers and users. So maybe it's time to switch to Python. So as a summary, where is my last slide? Okay, so to conclude, so I think now we are some kind of at a crossroad because we have so an interface which does the job, but we have some important choice to do right now for the future. Should we keep on developing this on our side according to our needs, or continue with the help and support from the FreeFrame community? So I would really want to turn this into a true collaborative project involving other users of FreeFrame. The second question, should we keep the current MATLAB Octave choice or rewrite everything in Python? So these are, I came to these FreeFrame days to launch a debate on this. So who is interested and who wants to contribute? So I think I'm over time. So thank you for attention. And
so thank you. I never remember your David. David, it's okay. Any question? You have time for one question because after that we are late.
I have a question, Frédéric.
Oui, vas-y, Georges.
Why you don't use the adapt mesh of FreeFrame and you use another adapt mesh?
Actually, no. We use the adapt mesh of FreeFrame. We only design a kind of general. Yeah. Actually, the central tool is adapt mesh of FreeFrame. So we only built a kind of generic wrapper to this. So that there is a single program, adaptmesh.edp, which contains adaptmesh, but which will work with whatever number of field you give it. So. We call it mesh adaptation wizard, but actually the wizard is not us. The wizard is adapt mesh from Frédéric. So,
okay. And which version of FreeFrame is now on StabFrame?
4.7, and actually there are some cases that we look that use the latest features of 4.7. For instance, you see this example with free surface flows. We began to use the Lineic mesh because here we have some fields defined on the interface only. If we, for instance, we look at waves on the surface, so so it's 4.7.
So everything is solved in FreeFrame++, and you use the StabFrame only as a notebook to implement, to read the data, something like this.
Yeah. But the main, all all the computation are done by FreeFrame.
Okay.
Some post-processing is not done outside with some generic tools that I showed, but okay, all the computations, building of mesh, solving linear problems and adapting mesh and so on is done with FreeFrame.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.